Everything about Jade Empire was a very absorbing game. Once you started playing, it sucked you in, man. You couldn't really stop until you were finished.
I've played all of those Japanese RPGs on PS2 as well. I'm a crazy RPG fan. And what I think people don't appreciate is the fact that you implement an action-based fighting system. You're going to have a lot more fun than, you know, the people that just stick to that niche of turn-based, boring, played-out, old-school RPG systems. And this tried to do something different, and I think it succeeded, and people get a little bit off the norm. They get upset. They say, oh, it's not as good as what I've been playing for the past 10 years. I don't want to play what they've been playing for the past 10 years. I want something new.
It was just a really well put together, cohesive game, and just it's one of those game experiences that you just remember for a long time after you finish playing it.
Totally different approach to RPG. So you either like it or you don't. But if you're stuck in the traditional rut, like this is what an RPG is, I want to watch movies and hear songs and look at pretty, you know, visuals for hours at a time, then yeah, that's not what you're getting here.
And I think when you take KOTOR games and then you take Jade Empire, we're starting to actually, from BioWare, see the first good example of American RPGs. You know, they're starting to solidify a position of what we can do in an action-based environment where you're not just reading text for 4 hours and clicking attack and use item.
You know they're Canadian, right? They're not American.
No, as far as I'm concerned, they're American.
Fair enough, fair enough. They will be soon enough. They will be. It's just a matter of time.
What continent are they on?
Yeah,
They're on
matter of time.
Most intense World War II action game I've ever played. It's just, you know, there's constantly, you know, Nazis shooting at you, snipers, there's cannons, there's tanks, there's smoke bombs going off, grenades, you know, it's just this unbelievably intense, visceral experience.
Call of Duty 2 is the best 360 game, aside from maybe Geometry Wars, but Infinity Ward nailed the World War II experience. They kind of did it the first time around, and this is Call of Duty 1 times 100.
The frame rate is just awesome for the amount of just explosions and gunfire and enemies that are running around on screen the whole time. It's really cool. Plus the smoke looks totally badass.
I've never been so excited about smoke in my life.
Exactly.
I just sat there and watched it wafting up. It would disappear, I'd get shot, I didn't care, I'd throw another grenade.
And it's just a great edge-of-your-seat war shooter that actually makes you tired because of so much crap is going on. You just get, your brain starts melting, and you gotta stop it. But it's an awesome experience.
I think that the game stands out, I think, most because of its sound, though. It has really great sound. It really, especially on a 5.1 system, it blows your ass off.
The video game world needs some new bad guys, some new good guys, too. We need to have a year where there's no ninjas, except for Ninja Gaiden 2, and no zombies and no Nazis, and just see where that takes us. I mean, Condemned, they were just like, forget it, you're going to kill homeless people.
Yeah.
You know, and that was fresh, that was awesome.
I love Civ 4.
I think Civ 4 is so fun because it takes a lot of the same things that Civ 3 did, which is basically give you the power to create your own empire, but they've made the interface so much better that you can just jump in and you can play with newbies.
Anybody from, you know, 10-year-olds to 80-year-olds can jump into the game and figure out what's going on there.
And, you know, it's so frickin' addicting.
It makes it much better for casual gamers, but it still has that 100+ hours of you sitting there, one more turn, all of a sudden 7 a.m. in the morning.
I look up at the clock and it's 5 in the morning and I have to get up in 3 hours, you know, it's terrible.
It's an incredibly addictive title, most addictive game of the year. Has the most replay value probably of any game this year, maybe even past 5 years.
Resident Evil 4 was a really awesome game for a number of reasons. I mean, first of all, it was just one of those current-gen games that looks like it bridges the gap between current-gen and next-gen. It was just like a great-looking game. It was one of the most cinematic games I've ever played.
I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil series to begin with, but RE4, it set new standards in survival horror.
This is the best example ever, obviously, of a franchise being recreated and being reborn and having it come out almost perfectly.
I loved how they switched the control around. Finally, you're not like a human tank running around all over the place. There's actually a control scheme that makes a good deal of sense.
It was the most immersive game I played this year, by far.
I played this game back at TGS a couple years ago, and I was like, I was floored.
It's a game that you wouldn't expect it to be. I mean, it's not Resident Evil, but it is at the same time. They've done a really good job of taking a game that used to be one set type of genre and kind of expand on it and make it fun and interesting and scary.
That game was a lot of fun. It was different. It didn't feel like any other Resident Evil that came before it. It felt like not only a new version of itself, a new version of the franchise, but a new type of game altogether. Like it went beyond what survival horror have been defined as. So that was a lot of fun. I liked every bit of it. I liked.
This is not only my favorite game of the year, but it's my favorite action game of all time. My favorite PS2 game of all time, for that matter. It's an absolutely amazing action game, adventure, whatever else you want to throw in there.
It's the action game I probably have been waiting for I don't even know how long. It's just so brutal, and so it does melee combat so well.
Best action game I've ever played. I mean, when you're sitting there pulling off 300 hit combos and that music is blaring, and then you're fighting a boss that's, you know, size of a skyscraper, it's just intense.
It took a very familiar genre, games like Onimusha, Devil May Cry, and it added 100% to that.
It got tougher as you went along, but not at a pace that made you uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, it got tougher when it needed to get tougher. It introduced new elements when it needed to introduce new elements. But I mean, that's the mark of a great game. That's great game design. It stands head and shoulders above anything else, I think.
Everybody secretly wants to be Kratos, and that's the test of a good character. Does everybody secretly want to be him? Yes.
This managed simplicity and complexity at the same time. Like it gave you all these simple tools to use, and you can make your combat as complex as you wanted it to be. So you got to be really artistic with it, which is something rare in a game, and you know, you can create your own genuine, unique experience.
The first thing I ever did, well, the first project I worked on when I came to IGN was I sat in the demo room and played God of War for about, I was supposed to play and get about 5 minutes of footage for Massive Hit Theater for Insider. I ended up saying that I had technical problems and played the game for about 7 hours one day.
Every time you finished off a guy, it just gave you this great sense of accomplishment where you would stand up and scream at the enemy. I'm like, that's what you get. That is what you effing get.
I think that it's one of the few games I've played in the last couple of years that has that memorable moment from the time I hit start all the way until the end. And it's just done so well. I really think that a lot of games can learn from it.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's pretty amazing to win this award. We had such a hard time making this game that, you know, when we think back to all the moments that we almost pulled the plug on it, and moments where it was just crap and it was boring and people would play it and just had no vision of what it was going to be, to the fact that here we are now accepting this very high quality trophy, which visual aside is quite an honor coming from IGN. And so it is actually almost hard to believe that we've come as far as we have, and that we're now sitting here the recipient of such a really cool and important award. So joking aside, it's pretty amazing, and it's actually kind of hard to believe, and I don't know if it'll quite hit me for a while that we've actually achieved as much as we have with this game, but it's hard to believe. Dark Odyssey was just the sort of the working title. I mean, Odyssey is obviously a reference to the classic story, The Odyssey. Dark was just because it was sort of a dark and sort of foreboding story. But we actually, me and Shannon and the head of marketing sat in a room, and we had Dark Odyssey, God of War, and I think the other title was At the Hands of the Gods was the third title. And we just kept going round and round, we couldn't decide. And finally we brought a few more people into the room, and we said, F it, we're just gonna say, let's write it down on paper, we're gonna put it in a hat, and the one that gets the most votes, it's just luck. No, in fact what it was whichever one we pull out of the hat, that's the name, because we couldn't decide. And we pulled it and God of War came out. We're like, you know, let's just do it again. And so we threw that piece of paper away and we did it again, and God of War came out again. It was like, okay, that's it, that's the title. So that's how we ended up with God of War. Dark Odyssey was just sort of a working title that, you know, sounds kind of like a lame B-level RPG, and we hit like Amazon.com and put in dark in video game sections. There's like 1,000 games with dark in the title, and so I'm glad we kind of stepped away from that and ended up with God of War, which I think sounds so much cooler. Thank you guys very much for the support. Thank you, IGN. This has been a great, exciting year for all of us at Santa Monica and for God of War, and hopefully you guys will like what we're doing next. Kratos, thank you so much for all you've done for us. This is for you, and hopefully we'll see you soon and make another game with you. Here you go.
Thanks for all the kind wishes, Jaffe. It's nice to know I have love and support from all of the little people who don't count. If anybody holds a stake in my unbelievable success, it's my friend and mentor, P. Swayze. There is no finer embodiment of martial arts mastery and wanton masculinity. While acting as his personal assistant and stunt double in Roadhouse, he taught me the fundamentals of being an A-list leading man. Step 1 is remaining fit. I blast squads for 4 hours a day and maintain a healthy diet of harpy breast milk and minotaur gonads. Step 2 is orgy participation.
Wait, hold on, time out. What the hell is this?
Nothing. Just don't even worry about it.
From the sultry saunas of Sparta to the sordid dungeons of West Athens, the ladies know how Special K drops the flesh hammer. It's all about my hose up in the 323.